for you.
Yes, sir. We back. And I just want to say before I, give my whole spiel, I'm proud that we're early. You should be proud of us too. So if you're proud, make sure you hit that like button. You know what I'm saying? Real quick, before I get into everything, just a serious note. Shout out to Infamous 2K. He's a big part of this stream. He's on his way to a funeral. Usually he's at this stream every time. We're just praying for you. Just want to get that out the way before anything, because like I said, we're a family here, So you got our prayers, brother. You already know where to hit us up. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. You know what it is. It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and I'm here. I'm back, and we got my boy Brandon right below. Usually he's right next to me, but he's right down there. You already know who he is. But we got a very special guest as always. We got my guy, Jeff Warner. How are you doing, man?
Hey, pretty good, man. Thank you for having me on. Hopefully, we're talking Eagles Cowboys this week, and hopefully we'll be talking at the end of the day. Eagles still alive in playoff contention for the NFC East title. So, baby.
That's what I think we're all hoping for, all wishing for right now.
Yeah,
it's been a long season. It's been a very long season. We are right after Christmas, so hopefully, this is our late Christmas present to all the adults that give more than they get. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully we can figure something out. I mean, let's just start from the beginning. Let's start where everybody I know is going to have their mind on. We're going to see a little bit more of Jalen Hurts. We haven't talked about it, obviously, Jeff. So just give me your thoughts on what you've seen so far from from Jalen Hurts. And then, Brandon, you can come as well and tell me what you're thinking.
Yes, sir.
I would say with Jalen, first two starts of his career, he had over 338 yards, 3 touchdowns last week, 63 yards rushing on the ground, rushing touchdown against those Cardinals. And I would say it's a little bit of a breath of fresh air. I would say I know we saw what Carson Wentz can do with this team and with as a quarterback, but just this season, just the way this offense has run and the way the team has ran with him under center, it was a little bit of a breath of fresh air to see Jalen Hurts in there, and the poise in the pocket, the way he makes plays, the way he takes away the issues that we have, especially along the offensive line, his athleticism and his ability to extend plays and to be mobile in the pocket and run off at any moment. He's been the big reason why I feel this team has been in contention the last 2 weeks and in these football games, and I feel right now he's been giving them a better chance to win than Carson Wentz. Unfortunately, I would say nothing against Carson. Carson has done well for us throughout his career, except for this season. I would say he's had career lows and issues, but I don't feel it's all on him. I just feel Jalen Hurts fits better in what Doug is trying to do with his game plan and with this offense, and he brings that different dynamic more than just that whole Taysom Hill and Wildcat aspect that they would bring him in and take Carson out. And I felt that type of offense really ruined the rhythm of the offense and cost him. The fact that Hurts is in there by himself and under center proving what he can do, it's causing a quarterback controversy. I don't know what we're going to do after this season, but right now I want the quarterback that's going to give us the best chance to win games. And right now I feel Jalen Hurts is that guy.
I agree. If you would have asked me like 4 weeks ago, would you want to see Jalen in? I was still on that train of saying, no, just let Carson rock it out. Or if you're going to bench him, do it in purposes because we're out of contention and we just want to keep Carson upright. But as of the last couple weeks, I mean, Jalen has been doing his thing. He's been able to surprise defenses. People can see his college tapes and everything, but it's one thing to watch. It's another playing against a guy that is fast. Now, on tape, he doesn't look lightning speed like Kyler Murray or like a Lamar Jackson, but he takes longer strides than them, and he's still fast. And that's kind of hard to replicate in practice. So with that and his confidence and his poise and his quick decision-making, because like you said, we still have the same issues that we had when Carson was at quarterback, between the offensive line, between not calling running plays as much as we should. Sanders still hasn't touched the ball over 20 times. And you would assume that with Jalen being a threat of running, you would see more read options and see more Miles Sanders getting the carries, but you're not really seeing that. So Jalen is working what Carson had, but he's just bringing a little extra spice, a little extra swag, a little bit more confidence because he's fresh. He's fresh. He's not mentally beat down. He's not physically beat down. He's just ready to go and wants to prove himself. And I mean, that's all we can ask for from Jalen Hurts and the rest of the young guys getting some playing time.
Yeah, and I feel you. And I always have to give my pre-required speech that I love Carson. I'm happy, he did great for the city.
Carson's my boy,
quarterback. Man. That's my quarterback. But it is what it is. Like Jeff said, like Brandon was saying, we have to go with who's going to be best for this franchise moving forward. And even if this might be a little bit of an unpopular opinion, but even if it's the same exact thing, if we're going to get the same from both players, I'm going with the less money. If we're going to be rebuilding anyways, I've always said I'd rather rebuild without a $30 million quarterback. It's not necessary. Hurts been looking good. I've said from probably the Bengals week that I've been kind of ready to see him go, just ready to see I was ready for something different from the offense. And, I felt like Jalen Hurts represented that. We see that it's, like you said, not really that different. It's just how he's playing it that's different. A lot of people say he's a one-read quarterback. You know what I'm saying? And I've been on record saying that might be helping him, to be honest. We'll see. I think this is a big game. I think these next two games, in some weird way, are going to be bigger games than the Saints game and the Cardinals game for that.
For sure, division.
Exactly. It's a division game. You guys are just, this is the time that everything's on the line. You could lose those games and we would be like, whatever, you looked good. And he did lose the Cardinals game and he looked good and we're okay with it. But if you lose to the Cowboys and you come out and you look bad against the Cowboys, there's no coming back from that. There really is no coming back from that.
I hope he realizes that Cowboy week is just a different type of week. He was here earlier in the season, but this is bigger at this point. This point, it's like it's a playoff game essentially, with the exception of Washington and everything. But
I'm kind of mad they moved that game. I understand why they did it, but I wish they would just kept it at 1 o'clock. That way the team would have knew whether this game meant something or not. And I felt if they knew it meant something, just the energy and the adrenaline running through them, I just felt that could have gave them an extra boost. But the NFL's the NFL.
Yeah, they're gonna try and make every cent off of that. So shout out to Philly Insider Podcast says, what do you guys think about Fulgham? I think the headline is overblown when Alshon was back in week 10, 11. Fulgham still got 88 to 96% of the snaps. His route tree is limited and can't get off press, in my opinion. Jeff, you want to start that off? How do you feel about Fulgham? Do you think he needs more snaps?
I feel I feel he should get more snaps. I would say just the way this team is going towards the future, and that's what this team needs to do, and that's what the front office needs to realize. Like, look, probably Deshaun, probably Alshon, they're not going to be here next year most likely with their cap numbers, and I would say you want those young guys to get reps. And now with Deshaun coming back, that possibly takes more reps away from Fulgham and Rager and Quez Watkins and a lot of these young receivers that you're trying to build the future for, especially if Jalen's going to be your guy. You want him to be working with guys to build that chemistry, to build that rhythm and have those snaps together. And nothing against Alshon. I would say he had a good game last week. I would say he was able to get the couple big plays here and there. And Deshaun, I would say we'll see what he can do today. I hope he's on a limited snap count, just because what has the 35-year-old Deshaun shown us? That besides that, he's injury prone and he's lost a step. And and I would say besides the deep play threat, really, what does he provide for you? So it's going to be interesting to see how Doug works him into the offense and what he does with him. But I feel Fulgham, I would say if he's going to be a guy that he's going to be here for the future, I agree he has his issues, he has his limitations, but the only way he's going to improve is by being out there and taking those snaps. And ultimately, I agree with him. I feel he should be out there a little more, but there's only so much room and so many snaps that these guys can take.
Yeah, I don't really believe the headlines were really overblown. When Alshon first came back, Alshon, I think, only got the ball thrown at him to like twice, and he was only out there for a limited time. I think everyone knew that it was the progression. It was all of a sudden Alshon was out there for 5% of the snaps. Next, he's out there for 20% of the snaps. And then last week, he was just out there. Like, he was the number one wide receiver. And I feel like it does do a disservice to a guy like Fulgham. And I'm hoping that with Deshaun Jackson back today, we're not forcing another veteran to get more looks than a Quez Watkins or a Hightower. I mean, we haven't even seen Hightower in a couple weeks. I mean, Quez Watkins has stepped in. He got that touchdown last week. But even if it's trying to build chemistry with Jalen or just getting these guys out there, that's the key that we need, especially moving forward when we know that with the cap space being lowered next year, we're going to have to get rid of some of these vets. And we just need these young guys getting the reps and getting the practice. And yeah, we're still in contention, hopefully for the playoffs. We'll see. But at the end of the day, you got to take your chances. You got to take your chances on the young guys and get them acclimated to the NFL speed and let them make their mistakes now while we're kind of stinky compared to, all right, well, we won't play them this year. Then we'll try them next year when next year could be a chance to really like move forward a little bit. So I don't know. I feel like it wasn't overblown, but at this point, I guess they like Alshon more.
I mean, I feel like you guys said, we're going to have a whole different team next year. Like that was going to happen whether or not, we were good this year, whether we were bad. Like we were going to have a whole new team just because of how our cap situation is. Just what it is. Every team goes through it. We were going to go through it. Alshon, he was just mismanaged the whole year. Even when he wasn't playing, when he was hurt, the fact that he wasn't on IR at this point is just laughable.
Which makes no sense.
Yeah, same. You could say the same thing with Deshaun Jackson last year. Like the way that our older players are being handled is just ridiculous. It makes no sense. It seems like they're treating them more like friends than a business. You know what I'm saying? And it's starting to catch up with them. But as far as Fulgham goes, I mean, we wouldn't have seen Fulgham if we didn't see as many injuries as we did. You know what I'm saying? So we have a really bad issue. And I know I was on a Cowboys show not too long ago, and they were saying they have the same problem where when we pay someone, they're playing. You know what I'm saying? If you're getting paid $5 more million than the next person behind you, you're going to get the snaps. They're going to try and get every penny out of you. And I feel like that's what they're doing with Deshaun and they're doing with Alshon and even JP.
Who do they mention for the Cowboys? I'm curious to know who they paid that they would.
That's a good question. I want to say it was Zeke. because I think we were talking about Zeke and Pollard. Yeah. Cowboy fans, but yeah, I just remember that.
I feel like that example, like that scenario
whatever,
works better for us than it did the Cowboys. I mean, I don't know, like if you bench a DeMarcus Lawrence, like who's behind him that's really gonna have more production than Lawrence, even though Lawrence hasn't really been there. Whereas us is like Jason Peters, we paid him, then we paid him even more, and yet we still have younger guys that have stepped in that have shown to be better in a sense because they're younger and faster and are able to get off the snap and everything, unlike Peters this year.
And I'll say a lot that the blame is the front office. I'll say I don't know your guys' opinion on with Howie and all that, but I feel Jeffrey Lurie needs to step in this offseason and say, hey, look, Howie, you handle the books, let Doug handle his team. Because I'll say I feel the tension, but there has to be some type of tension between Howie and between Doug. The reason why these guys, these older vets, are coming in here, and I understand it was a shortened off season. There wasn't as much mini camps and training camps, so they wanted to bring in guys that know the offense and know the playbook and have been here before. That way, they don't have to try to adjust new players to the system, but. The pay of these guys, this type of money, and basically forcing the play has hurt our team more than it has helped, and it's hurting the progression of these young players. I would say for Alshon to be out there, and I know Doug has said numerous times in his press conference that he's going to play the best players available that he has to him. I don't believe that's true. I honestly feel he's being forced the hand to play Alshon over some of these young kids just because of the veteran. He's a veteran and he's getting paid a lot. So. I don't know your guys' thoughts, but I'll say I just feel something has to happen with Howie, and honestly, I don't feel anyone's getting fired. If anything, I feel the scapegoat's going to be Jim Schwartz this offseason for how bad this defense has played and given up the amount of points that they have had. So I know people want people getting canned and held accountable. I don't see Doug getting fired. I don't see Howie getting fired. So it's an interesting offseason.
Yeah, I saw a report earlier saying that it was pretty clear that how he felt safe with his job, which is not good. I mean, I personally feel like he's the root of a lot of these problems. Like a lot of the decision making, whether or not it is on him, it seems like a lot of it starts pointing towards him. Like this season, everything, and even just to your credit, if you look at a lot of these players that are leaving, you know what I'm saying? Malcolm Jenkins, Orlando Scandrick, it is what it is. But, Will Parks, there's a lot of people that are leaving and taking little shots at Howie Roseman. You know what I'm saying? And it's not coincidence. At what point does it become like, obviously this guy is the problem? And that becomes the buddy thing again. Is Jeffrey Lurie a little bit too buddy with, Howie Roseman that he's just not going to give him up,
Right.
I don't know.
And I mean, before I get into Howie, just for Kev, why Matt Collins couldn't make big catches for us. I was watching the game last night, and honestly, that was just a blown coverage. I don't know what the Raiders were thinking running cover 2 at the end of the game. You have 19 seconds. It should be prevent all the way. Don't let anything deep beat you. And they were in cover 2. That was on defensive. That was on the corner.
Yeah, and then the face mask on top. So basically sealed the deal for the Raiders' fate.
Right. So that could have been any receiver at that point that had a tiny bit of speed. But back to Howie. Do I want Howie to go? I think so. I think it's time to get a fresh look in there and everything. But we're not going to get someone that's desired to try to fix $60 million in cap. Nope. So at this point, we need Howie to either A, just handle the cap and have someone else do the player personnel stuff, or B, if he's able to stay involved, listen to the other people. Don't just make your own decisions and just be like, oh, I'm going to grab Jalen Hurts, for instance, when all these other people are telling me to grab someone else, or Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson, stuff like that. Yeah. Although I don't even know. Did you guys see that thing about what Justin Jefferson said about like Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, last week cursing him out because he missed him wide open in the end zone. I would say he basically drops a couple F-bombs and threw him under the bus a little bit. And also, I know people want Howie out, but people have to understand, usually when a GM goes, the head coach usually goes too. So if you want Doug to stick around, I'll say typically a new GM, they're going to want their own head coach. They're going to want their own quarterback. So this ain't an ideal situation for a new GM to come in here. And I'll say, like you said, no one wants to fix this disaster that Howie Roseman did with the whole salary cap issue. That the fact that we're going to be $50-60 million over the cap next year, he's got to work magic. And it's going to be critical for next year's draft because the Eagles are not going to be much players in free agency. I would say they're not going to have the money to get any big free agents. So this draft is going to be huge for the future of this franchise because I know how he's been bad in the draft the last couple of years. If he doesn't hit on the draft next year, it could be detrimental to this franchise for years to come.
Yeah, so Joe, a question for you guys. Yeah, with that being said, is if we need to hit on this draft and we need players for the future, are you guys low-key not wanting to go to the playoffs? Because as soon as we win the division, we go from like having a top 10 pick to all of a sudden we're like at 19-20.
Yeah. I was a little bit torn. I would say on another podcast I was on, I was originally one of those people like, look, the way I look at this team is not built for the playoffs. If this was any other year in our division, one it wasn't as bad, we wouldn't even be in playoff contention. I'll say, and surprisingly, we're 2 weeks left. We're still in it. But I was one of those people like, hey, look, I would say this team ain't built for the playoffs. It's better for us to get the higher pick than go into the playoffs and get eliminated in the first round by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or whoever we're going to be facing in the first round, possibly. But I get it. I'll say you never want to root against your team. You never want them to go out there and lose. And as a fan, I want them to go out there and win that division because you never know what can happen. Look at other teams in the past that were 6 seeds, the Steelers and the Packers and a couple of these teams that had these miraculous runs in the playoffs. Granted, they were a little bit better built teams, but I would say, but on the other hand, you have to look at the realism and what's the best for this franchise. And if Howie can hit, I would say you have a better chance of hitting on a better player in the top 10 than you would do in the bottom end of the first round. You have a lot more better talent and more consensus when it comes to players in the top 10 of the draft. So I feel it would be better off that they might it's better for them to miss the playoffs to get that higher pick. But as a fan, I'm rooting for them to win go to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't the Cowboys that we were playing this week, and it wasn't, another division opponent next week. Like, if it wasn't set up how it is, I would have a better time swallowing my pride and being like, whatever, let's just lose. But I can't lose to the Cowboys. I can't go out there and say, yeah, let's just lose for a pick. I mean, in some sick way, we are losing when we win, if we win. You know what I'm saying? Like in some way, I'm sure a lot of Cowboys fans are gonna just justify it that way. Or we will if we lose. You know, it is what it is.
Right.
But this draft, I feel, is kind of deep. I think this is a good draft on a lot of different levels and a lot of different levels that we need. I think there's a lot of good linebackers. I think there's a lot of good wide receivers. Cornerbacks, I think there's a good amount, but not a lot. But either way, this is a deep draft, you know, so maybe, you know, I obviously want to win. It's like you guys said, it's hard. I'm so torn because as a fan, you want to win every game, but like,
I mean, technically, we could still win and not make it. Just Washington has to win.
If Washington's
that's true. I'll take that. I will take that. But then it becomes, who are you going to pick? And that, you know, shout out to Tom Barnett, says, who would you guys want most in the first round? Who would you guys want?
I haven't really looked at the draft too terribly much, but I'll say it's all going to depend on what we do with our offseason. Who we're going to let go. Because I'll say there's a couple key points or key positions that I'll say we're going to need to address. It depends what they decide to do with Brandon Graham and the pass rush and Derek Barnett on that franchise or that fifth-year option. They definitely need linebacker help and cornerback help opposite of Slay. Are they going to move on for Rodney McLeod at safety? Ideally, I feel they need to go somewhere on the defensive side of the football because how bad this defense was. They need a lot of help. I'll say I know on the offense side of the ball they need some playmakers, but I'll say they have Miles Sanders at running back. They just drafted Jalen Reagor in the first round. I feel they might just get another veteran or go with the young guys that they have and try to develop them properly. And the offensive line, they have Dillard. They're having a lot of guys come back from injuries, so I feel they have a lot of confidence. Those guys. So I know everyone wants the flashy pick and a big playmaker. I know Jamar Chase, the wide receiver, is a big name people are calling for. Yeah. I don't see them going back-to-back years of first-round picks with a wide receiver. There's a lot more crucial needs that they need, and so I feel somewhere on the defense side of the ball. I know they don't value linebackers, so it's probably going to be some type of big pass rusher or hopefully a cornerback opposite of Darius Slay since he got that big deal.
Yeah, I think if we were to lose out and we had like a top 5 pick or top 7 pick, I don't know how that would work out. Even moving back, I think, could be an option, depending on how far you're moving back. I mean, one thing Howie has been good at is, you know, making trades and, you know, working out salary. So maybe you package some of these bigger numbers with, you know, that pick and you figure something out, you know what I'm saying? Whatever that may be. Who knows? But if I was to get somebody, it would probably be Micah Parsons. I know they wouldn't, just because he's a linebacker. So I need him to.
I would love it, though. Being a Penn State fan, I would love to have him on this football.
I'm a Penn State fan too.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go. But yeah, and it hurt my heart every time I see Saquon Barkley still in blue. You know, it's weird. I wanted him to change his colors once he left college. But Micah Parsons, I think, is something that can change the future of our defense. You know, and if you're going to keep Jim Schwartz, or even if you're going to bring someone new, to have someone like that, that's a 5-10 year piece right there. If you got the money for it. So I think he's probably the best player that we could take. I know, like you said, a lot of people want Jamar Chase just because we haven't had a wide receiver like that. But to go for a wide receiver that high, and if we're going with, if we're going to have Carson Wentz as our quarterback, that pick makes a little bit more sense because he's more of a traditional quarterback. But I don't know if I'm putting that much stock into the wide receiver core for Jalen Hurts. I think that he's a different type of quarterback. You know what I'm saying? I think he gives you a little bit more as a runner. Yeah. You really just want somebody that's going to, like, you know, I think Jalen Reagor is a perfect type of wide receiver. Quez Watkins, you know, people like that are perfect for Jalen Hurts just because he scrambles so much. He just, you know, so many scramble drills. You just want somebody that's fast and can create a little bit of separation. Right. You don't need a star.
Yeah, that I understand. These guys are undersized. I'll say that's the reason why they're not getting off the bump coverage that well and all of that. But I'll say that comes down to Doug. That comes down to scheme. That comes down to him realizing his players' strengths and weaknesses. And that's the one thing he's been criticized all season long, especially even Carson. I'll say he's not utilizing his players to their strengths and he's not game planning for it. So So I would say I feel he can work with the players he has, and Jalen has shown he can work with the players he has by producing and making plays. And I agree. I would say they don't need to go first round wide receiver again, or a big offensive weapon. And hopefully, I would say they go the right path. Granted, a lot can change from now in April. A guy can blow out his knee. There's a bunch of bowl games. They have a bad scouting combine, so it's interesting to see what happens between now and then. But I would say right now, Jalen's the guy. I would say so. It's gonna be Doug. Doug needs to work his game plan with him and make sure that they run the offense efficiently.
Right. The draft is going to be tough for sure, and trying to get which position of need, because we're going to have so many holes to fill. Like you said, is McLeod going to, even if McLeod is back on the Eagles next year, or I don't know how his contract is, I don't know if he's 2 years or what, but he's still not going to play in the beginning. So we're going to need a safety. He's going to be still coming back from this ACL injury, and Jalen Mills, I don't know if I trust him. I don't know if we're re-signing him because he was on a 1-year deal, I believe.
He needs to be gone. He can't play. He's shown he can't play safety. He's shown he can't play corner.
He can't tackle.
Any value. He can't tackle either. He can't cover. He can't tackle.
His hair is mad nice, though.
He built the persona, and don't get me wrong, like I loved his swag in the earlier years, like when he was first here and he was hyped up and everything. But now all I see him do is just launching his body at people, and all they're doing is just stiff arming him or just getting away from him, and it's so annoying to see. It's like you've never played Pee Wee football and they didn't teach you how to rap. Like you've been taught how to rap your whole life, and now you just don't know how to do it. It's infuriating. But then Maddox, like we're gonna need that, like you said, second corner on the other side. So is it a young guy, or we try to see maybe is Jack Het that guy? Is he? Because I mean, he didn't play too bad against Hopkins last week. I know he missed a tackle on like a hitch route that Hopkins took for more yards, and Hopkins made like another Hopkins type catch. It was decent defense. It was just a better catch. But he's a big guy, long arms, so maybe he can come into his own. But that just goes back to giving these young guys a chance and letting them play and putting people in positions in the right spot. Like Maddox is too small to be outside, and he gets proved that over and over again.
Yeah, I hate to keep going back to Howie, but I feel like it all keeps going back to Howie. We have to find out who's making these decisions, because maybe it's just me. Maybe I've been, I don't know, drinking when I haven't noticed when I'm watching these games, because like I feel like our backups are playing better than our starters. From Travis Fulgham to Jack Cat to you can go down the list to Jordan Mailata to Nate Herbig to we can keep going and keep going.
Right.
Like these backups seem to come in and they step up, and we don't. Is it talent evaluation? Is it stubbornness from Howie saying no, we have to play these guys? Is it Doug not noticing that? Like, what do you guys think it is that's keeping our second team off the field when it seems like they're better than our first team in some areas?
Loyalty, I don't know. It's like a double-edged sword in a sense, because like you said, is Howie the issue? But then if our backups are playing well and our young guys are playing well, Howie's the one that picks them too. So it's just like, who's making these decisions? Is it the defensive coordinator or Doug Peterson really like loyal to these vets or to guys that they believe are starters? Like they kept Nathan Gary in for so long until he got hurt. And everyone from fans to analysts could all see that he wasn't hitting his spots. And he had like maybe 1 to 2 good plays all season. But the coaches kept him in there. So who's making those decisions? What are they not seeing? And why do they feel so loyal to guys if they're not producing?
I think it's loyalty, and I think it's a lot of it's hope. That as I feel they keep on thinking these guys are gonna make the turn for the better and make those strides and make those plays. That and a lot of that, I would say from what Doug has said, they felt some of these young players were not ready. I know at the linebacker position, everyone's asking, why isn't Davion Taylor? You invested a 3rd round pick in this dude this last draft, and he's barely getting any playing time in the first half of the season. And Doug just kept on saying he felt he wasn't ready. He felt he hasn't developed developed quick enough. And a lot of coaches, when it comes down to it, they don't want to ruin the confidence of these guys. They don't want to throw them into the fire too early, and then it ruins their development and ruins their confidence towards the future, which these guys are NFL players. They're getting paid to play football. If I would say most of these guys have been playing football almost their entire life, so they need to be thrown into the fire. You need to give them that opportunity and show them what they can do. I would say them not being developed quick enough is not an excuse. And if they're not developed quick enough, again, who is that on? That's on your coaching staff. That's on your head coach and your coaches around him, not getting these guys prepared to be that next man up mentality and having these guys go in there and perform. So ultimately, I know Howie's picking and assembling this roster, but when it comes to developing these players, a lot of it's on Doug and the coaching staff, and they need to make sure these guys are ready. And I agree. Sometimes I don't know if it's that the players are outperforming their starters or it's just opposing teams are not game plan for these guys. So I feel it's a little bit of both. I was like, especially like Fulgham. Fulgham had to be thrown in there because of a bunch of injuries. No one expected him to perform as well as he did against the 49ers. He had the big game-winning catch and touchdown. So I would say a lot of it, I think, is scheme and game planning as well. I would say teams aren't ready for it, but again, I would say teams have found now that they have game tape of Fulgham, they've been able to take him out of the offensive game plan. So that's on Doug. Doug needs to find ways to get these guys involved and perform better at a high level for you to have a chance to win football games.
Right. Yeah. And I will say, like, I feel like the NFL, not the NFL, football in general is changing. You know, I feel like 5-10 years ago, the excuse of he's a rookie, he's got to get used to the game speed, physicality, all that is an excuse. But you see these kids that are coming out of college now, man. You see these kids coming out of high school now.
Yeah.
I mean, the game is getting closer. It's obviously still a big change, you know what I'm saying? But the game is getting a lot closer. The physicality is getting a lot closer. So at this point, like you said, you got to throw these boys in the fire, man. Like you do not have time to waste, especially when you start playing bad. You know what I'm saying? This is the time that you start to evaluate. Infamous 2K says it's like Mills lost that dog mentality that he had at LSU. Like he stopped being hungry after he made it to the NFL. What do y'all think? I will say this. I'll start off and say this. I used to love when we drafted Mills in the 7th round. I was telling everybody he was a steal. You know what I'm saying? And I did feel that way. Like his first 2 years, he was decent. You know what I'm saying? He was better than what you would expect a 7th round player to be.
Right.
Lately, I agree 100%. He's lost that. I feel like when he came
Super Bowl,
he was a dog when it came to hits. You know what I'm saying? He didn't wrap up. I don't think he ever really wrapped up, but he put the pop on a lot of people. Now he's just whiffing. You know what I'm saying? He's whiffing or he's getting ragdolled in some of these occasions. So I definitely agree he lost that dog. And I feel like a lot of our players lost that, you know, little bit of dog mentality in them after the Super Bowl. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think, after the Super Bowl, that's when I feel like maybe we've seen less. And maybe what I was literally just thinking now, what if it's because he's on that 1-year deal and he's not trying to hurt himself or something? When on one side you can say it's a prove-it deal. You got to go out there and show out and do everything you can so you can earn that money. But going out and showing out also increases your risk of injury. So maybe he's worried that if I go ahead and keep throwing myself at big dudes and next you know I get hurt my neck or something, I don't know. But then he's going to miss out on money. I really don't know. I'm just making an excuse, just something that popped in my head.
Whether he hurts himself or not, he's not making any money after this season.
Facts. He's going to get that Nelson Aguilar type of. I mean, Nelson Aguilar is making like $1 million for the whole season. Like
a bunch of yards last night.
He's doing his thing, man. I love Eagles. I love my subscribers. I love the fan base. We are one of the most passionate fan bases, but we are one of the most dramatic fan bases when it comes to other players. Like, I understand that you guys are upset that Nelson Aguilar is like playing like a regular human, NFL player now, but he is not like setting the world on fire. Mac Hollins is not setting the world on fire.
But they're producing. I say they showed that stat last.
They are producing.
He's had only 300-yard games in 5 seasons with the Eagles. He had 3 this season with the Raiders, and it just feels not every single week, but almost every week he's making some type of grab or having a touchdown or something. And it's not just Aguilar. I would say look at Rasul Douglas and Sidney Jones for the first half of the season. They're playing like quality corners, but of course Jim Schwartz didn't feel he fit his scheme. He wasn't high on them, and and they never got the playing time or produced well for him. So a lot of it, I would say a lot of these guys, I would say they don't suck, but it's just the atmosphere, it's the team they're around, and it's the scheme they're around. So, and I feel that's going to be something if they ever move on from Carson Wentz. I would say we're going to hear from him.
Oh, we're definitely
on the line, and he's going to be putting up some numbers, and who knows, he might win a Super Bowl with another franchise. It's not going to be here though. But
yeah, change of scenery is a real thing. I do believe that, but I say dramatic just because I feel like 2 years ago, we were the ones calling for most of these people's heads. Like, we wanted Sidney gone. We wanted Rasul gone. We wanted this guy gone. And then now that they're gone, it's like, see, Jim Schwartz, you didn't know, Jim. Like, we got to calm down a little bit.
With Nelson, he's kind of almost like the Raiders' best wide receiver. Whereas in his time with the Eagles, especially when he was actually playing well, he was like the third or fourth option. We had Alshon on all cylinders. We had Darren Sproles getting more looks, and Torrey Smith or whoever. And Nelson was just kind of like another guy that added that personality and that ability to catch something short on like a screen and do a quick spin move and get down the field and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's one thing where, you can look at his stats and his numbers, but you got to also see who else was on the Eagles. Zach Ertz was one of our top targets during that time frame. So we were feeding so many mouths, whereas on the Raiders, Derek Carr just likes to – it's either Waller or he's just throwing it deep, it seems like, to Aguilar. Because, I mean, Ruggs doesn't have that kind of numbers, the person that they just drafted. So, obviously, they're treating Aguilar more like their number one wide receiver, whereas Aguilar was like our 3 or 4th option.
Right. Shout out to everybody in the chat and everybody in here. We've got like 20 people in here. If you're on Facebook, check the description. You can hit the link to join the YouTube, and then you can join the chat. Sometimes I don't see the Facebook comments. But yeah, if you're on the YouTube already, make sure to hit that like. Make sure to hit that subscribe if you are new. We're just talking some Eagles Cowboys, man. So I want to stay on the train of injuries real quick to be a little morbid. What do you guys think is going to happen with, because, obviously we have our own problems, right? Especially at quarterback. What do you guys think is going to happen with Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys? Do you think he's going to be a Dallas Cowboy next year?
I feel it depends on what happens in these next couple of weeks. If I would say somehow the Cowboys make the playoffs, God forbid, they need a lot of help, but I would say I feel they'll be too far down the draft then if they win the division. I would say they might give him that 1 year type of prove it deal and then look into next year's draft for the future or something like that. But honestly, I feel he's going to be back regardless. I would say at least on a 1 year type of deal. I would say I know it was a crucial injury for him and it's going to be difficult for him to come back from, but Jerry Jones is not a type of guy that likes to go in rebuilding mode. And he feels he has a lot of talent. He's invested a lot of talent especially on the offense side of the football. I would say they have Zeke, they have Pollard as the backup running back. They invested with Cooper with that big contract. They have a bunch of other playmakers on that team. So I feel that he feels that they need that quarterback, and he has the faith in Dak to be that guy. Because before this injury, granted the team sucks, but he was still putting up numbers. He was still being an efficient quarterback for this offense. So, and with Mike McCarthy as an offensive mind that he is, I feel Jerry feels another year with Dak could really improve this team and help this team. So they really need to work on the defense side of the football. If it wasn't for their defense, they might have a better record this season. So I feel, unfortunately, for Eagles fans, I know that you always have the comparison. And now Dak is the guy that is going to probably be the starter and be at the Cowboys, where Wentz is probably going to be going somewhere elsewhere down the line. So, but I honestly do feel Dak is going to be returning with the Cowboys, unfortunately.
If Jerry's willing to pay him, I don't think if Dak is given a 1 year or he's being told to sign the franchise tag again, if I'm Dak Prescott, I'm not doing it. I'm going to sit out. I'm going to pull a Le'Veon Bell. I've made a good amount of money this past year from signing the franchise tag. I have my endorsements that I have money from. I'm gonna eat it, because what if he gets hurt again? Like, this could be an ongoing trend when the guy, he deserves good money. Like, he does. Yeah, we call him Dink and Dak or whatever in the beginning, but he has developed. He has grown. Yeah, he's had weapons, and when we saw Zeke out, there was some adversity. But every team's gonna have adversity, and it just depends on how you work through and stuff like that. And unfortunately, their head coach at the time, he wasn't lack of better terms. But I feel Dak deserves to get paid. If a guy like, no offense to Deshaun Watson, he's a great talent, but look at his stats. His stats are not all that. And I don't even know if he's won a playoff game or if he has one, he's has only one. So his stats are not that far off from Dak, and he got paid. So what?
I agree. He deserves to get paid, and I'll say, but the way the NFL works, look at Malcolm Jenkins. He deserved to get his money, but the NFL, they don't pay for past performances. They pay for what they think they're going to do in the future. And Dak, I would say he's played well, but we don't know what type of player he's going to be after this injury, and how many open quarterback jobs are really going to be out there after this season. So I would say he might be able to sign somewhere else, but who knows if it might be for a quarterback competition, and he might not get that money that we expect him to get. I agree with you. He deserves he's developed well. He's been a great quarterback for the Cowboys, and I would say I feel they're going to find some type of middle ground. I feel Dak wants to be here. He wants to be with the Cowboys. And before that, I understand the long-term contract was an issue. Jerry didn't want to give it to him, but I feel this season has opened the eyes for Jerry on how bad this Cowboys team really is, and that they feel that Dak can be that guy, even coming off that injury, that somewhat overshadows some of those issues, and build, instead of try to find a new quarterback, they'll re-sign Dak and then invest all that money in the offseason and then draft on the defense side of the football. Because the Eagles, I would say, I know we'll get into it in a bit, but the Eagles should be putting up 30, 40 points against this defense today. If they don't, there's something seriously wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they should have done that the first time we played them, to be honest. And that's going to be a big comparison, too. People are going to look at that first game against the Cowboys, the underwhelming performance from Carson Wentz.
That's when he should have been benched that game. If at halftime, if you were going to put Hurts in and you wanted to send a message and then get Carson back out there to see if it kind of worked compared to the end of the season, put him up against Ben DiNucci and the Cowboys defense that was lackluster at that time. If you did that then, and let's say Hurts didn't play well because obviously he was just thrown in, or Hurts plays well, but you still can put Carson in the next week because that we still had a whole other half a season to play. Whereas you waited and you waited and you waited to the point where you pull Carson, that's it. You're not putting him back in when at this point in time, we've only had a couple games left and we were fighting for that last playoff spot.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think with Dak, I think you're 100% right, Jeff, because I feel like he has the loyalty, and I think that's what's going to kind of determine that. I think if Jones comes up to him like, listen, I'll give you a 2-year and we'll work on it this year. And I'm sure he's going to give him a lot of honey. He's going to give him a big pot of honey and say, this is going to be all sweet, I promise. And, I'm sure Dak will bite because he does want to be a Cowboy. It's just, he said it time and time again. It is what it is. Like, I know it's a business, but I don't think Dak really cares. I think Dak, just the same thing with their linebacker, Jalen Smith, I think his name was. He took kind of a team-friendly deal because he wanted to be yeah, exactly. Yeah, man, forget his team-friendly deal. But no, he took a team-friendly deal just because he wanted to be a Cowboy. It is what it is. Yeah, Some people do that for the Eagles. I mean, Alshon kind of did that when he first came here. His contract was kind of worked in a way that was more friendly for the Eagles just because he wanted to be on that team. So I could see Dak making a decision like that.
With Jalen Smith, though, he came off a crucial injury in college. And the fact that the Cowboys took a chance on him and worked to rehab him, because I don't even think he played his rookie year. I think he was rehabbing that whole year. So there's a different connection there, I feel like, compared to Dak. I feel personally, if I'm Dak, I'm pissed off because Jerry tried to be sneaky. He signed Andy Dalton thinking that, all right, if you're not going to sign, we got Andy Dalton. If you go down, we have Andy Dalton, so you better play your butt out and try to sign this contract because we have a backup. So in that kind of sense, now we see what it looks like with Andy Dalton compared to Dak. It's just not the same. Even though the Cowboys record wasn't good in the beginning of the season, their offense was producing a lot more in the beginning of the season than they were pretty much all season with Andy Dalton and whoever else when he couldn't play. So in that sense, I would feel I don't know how my loyalty would be if my owner that claims that I'm good tries to make this undercut move and basically forces my hand to sign that franchise tag, and I lost all leverage.
Look, I should probably not say this on a stream because I don't want to give the Cowboys these gems. But you guys just need to re-sign Ben DiNucci, Make him your franchise quarterback. Listen, I'm just here to drop gems. That's all I'm here to do. You guys need to just go with DiNucci. DiNucci's the future for the Cowboys. It is what it is. So, all right, let's go back to the Eagles because now I'm starting to get hives. We're talking a little bit too much about the Cowboys, but what are your guys' thoughts about? Obviously, Djax is going to be returning to the lineup. Do you guys think he's going to be a big part of this offense? Do you think he's going to be more of a decoy? Do you think he's just going to be a bench warmer? What do you guys see for Djax today?
It's going to be difficult to see because I would say he hasn't played since week 3, 4, whatever it was. It's been a while, so we don't. And again, he was an aging veteran before this injury, and he really didn't have much in the left in the tank. I just hope that the Eagles do, and this is the one thing I fear, especially since he's going to be taking some reps for some of these young players, and it's all going to depend if Jalen Reagor is able to play. Because I'm pretty sure he's questionable, so most likely a game time decision for today's game. So it's going to be interesting to see if he's out, how they work in Djax as well. But I just don't want them. I felt with Carson, they were trying to force too many plays with Deshaun. I felt Doug was trying to get that home run threat way too early and way too often that teams didn't bite on it. They, especially for a team that barely ran the football, you're not going to bite on a play action fake with the Deshaun Jackson streak down the sideline deep down the field. Your teams are not going to bite on it. This ain't Deshaun Jackson in his prime. So I feel he'll get a couple catches. He'll get a couple. He'll get his snaps in there. It's gonna be interesting to see what type of chemistry him and Jalen Hurts have because they really haven't worked. I understand Jalen. He gets some first team reps in practice, but it's not a lot. It's not like he's been playing in game time with Deshaun. So I still feel Jalen will probably still work with the other guys. He'll probably target most of them, but Deshaun. I feel he'll get his number. He'll get his targets every now and then. I'm just hoping that Doug doesn't try the game plan, the whole offense around him.
Right. And in fantasy land, I'd love to see at least one completed bomb to Deshaun Jackson for a touchdown, and he can do his dance, maybe do a dance in the star of the helmet in the end zone. That'd be cool for nostalgia type stuff. Maybe do the whole drop back thing. But in reality, I really don't need to see Deshaun out there. I want to see the young guys really build that chemistry up. Yeah. We got young guys that have burners. That's why we drafted them. I want to see them participate. I want to see them getting screen passes and being able to take it to the house. I want to see them to be able to take a short slant and be able to take it instead of 3 yards down the field. I want to see them take it 15 yards because they have the speed to do that. And I want to see them on punt return. I don't need an ex-quarterback or a 34-year-old returning punts and getting possibly hurt or just not catching the ball and having us pinned back on the 2-yard line. I don't need that. What we need to do is develop these young guys and give them chances. Give them – Hightower was getting open deep. I don't know where any of those plays disappeared to. He dropped a couple. That's fine. That's something he could work on. Carson was still chucking the ball to him. So they were still giving him opportunities, and he was still getting open. Keep the young guys out there.
Yeah, we got to see what we have, man. And I'm glad you both said that because I've been seeing a lot of people saying on social media, like, oh, I would love to see a farewell. Djax deserves. Well, listen, stop worrying so much about these people's feelings, man. This is the NFL. He's played like 10 or something years. He's going to retire Eagle. He's going to give a great speech about how he loves the city, and he's going to have great memories with the Philadelphia Eagles. He does not need to get 15 targets in his last 2 games for that to be proven. We love you, Djax. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, in real world terms, we don't need to see anything. It is what it is. Don't force it. Right. If it happens, it happens, and beautiful. I'm going to go crazy, and I'll be ecstatic. But if you're taking Jalen Reagor out, if he is okay, if you're taking him out for that guy, no. If you're taking Quez Watkins even, I want to see more Quez. I want to see these young guys. I want to see what they have. Yeah. I know Richard Rodgers. Yeah, I know Richard Rodgers, I think, is out. So that should be interesting. Hopefully I have Zach Ertz in my fantasy football. This is the championship. I need my man to act like Zach Ertz are old. You know what I'm saying? Because this is ridiculous. So let me ask you that too while we're on the topic anyways. How are you guys feeling about Zach Ertz? We went from the beginning of the year where we were all excited about him and Goddard to kind of mid-season we're questioning his, grit and his guts. So he gets injured to now, where are we? Where are we with Zach Ertz?
Go ahead.
Zach has been an interesting player because we've been able to see him kind of grow in the NFL, right? He comes in, he's behind Brent Selleck, who's at that time we were still kind of using that normal, like stereotypical tight end where it was mostly big body blocking, and Selleck can sometimes get a pass and kind of bully some people. But you weren't relying on Selleck. And at that point, you really weren't targeting Zach Ertz. And Zach Ertz was able to develop. Zach Ertz was able to become the starter. Zach Ertz became a top 3 tight end in the NFL. But then we drafted Goddard. And Goddard, he's proven to be a little bit more athletic, a little faster, and can run after the catch more than Zach Ertz can. I feel like Zach Ertz has more reliable hands than Goddard. But with the younger guy, it's tough to really want to throw all your chips in on an aging guy when we have a proven younger guy that we're going to have to pay too. It's not like we're going to pay 2 tight ends, top tight end money. That's just not going to happen because we just can't afford that when we have other holes to fill on this team. So with Zach Ertz, if he was to take a friendly deal that was on the table or whatever deal was on the table before, that's on you for not taking it. And now you want a little bit more money. We just can't afford that for an almost 30-year-old tight end. And it'd be sad to see him go for sure. Hurts to Ertz, Wentz to Ertz, like all those Ertz to Ertz things. It'd be sad to see. But at the end of the day, like you were saying, Joe, it's a business. And we got to be able to put the best team out there with the limited money that you're allotted. So that's just the name of the game. Nice.
Yeah, I agree. I would say Ertz, he'll always be a fan favorite. He'll always be a legend in a lot of these fans' minds, especially for helping us bring that Super Bowl and that big Super Bowl touchdown catch he had in that game. And we thank him for that. But like you guys said, it's a business. You have to move forward. I would say we have a young tight end with Goddard, with him. And I'll say Ertz, he's on the decline. He's already 30 years old. He's having season low or career low numbers for his in his career for this season. And usually I would say you don't move forward with that. I would say I understand he's a fan favorite, and the franchise has been a team of late that rewards their players for past performances and thanking them for their past accomplishments with this franchise, but they need to stop doing that, and you can't do that with Zach Ertz. I'll say you don't know where this dude's at physically or mentally, because I'll say he checked out in a lot of those games this season, and I'll say you don't want to take that away from a developing team and developing a tight end with Goddard, especially since I would say Howie Roseman in the offseason said that their goal this season, this offseason, was to get younger and get quicker. And they felt they did that with the moves that they did, especially in the draft. But what have they done since he made those comments? They bring back Jason Peters, an aging offensive lineman. Grant, I understand the circumstance. They were losing offensive linemen like flies, so they had to do something to provide some type of depth. They're forcing Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson as wide receivers, both the guys in their early to mid 30s. So you're forcing 8 guys in those age to go out there and play. And I would say right now, I don't know what type of value you'll get for it, but you need to build towards the future. We talked about how important this draft is. Get some type of draft compensation. You need to get something for the future. So if you don't feel like this franchise and you're going to rely on Ertz for the future and extend him, and you're going to go with Goddard, you need to move on from him. And I know they were trying to move him before the trade deadline, and he got hurt or whatever the hell happened with him. So they're obviously actively moving him, and he knows that his time in Philadelphia is going to be cut short very soon. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the offseason. Granted, the Eagles are not going to have much leverage or probably get much compensation, so it's probably going to piss a lot of people off that why do we only get a 4th or a 5th round pick for a 30-year-old tight end that has contributed in this league over the last couple of years. Unfortunately, it's the nature of the business, and I love Ertz, but his time in Philadelphia is going to be done here very soon, I feel.
Yeah, and we look at, like you said, we're going to be upset about some of these trades, and we're going to be upset about Wentz. People have some weird fantasy that we can get like a first out of him or something like that. Not with that contract. We are in the business right now of trying to get out of contracts.
You're saying my fantasies are weird, bro? Damn.
Yeah, we're definitely not getting the first one. We are, like I said, in the business of getting rid of contracts right now. Just look at NBA. Those are very similar. Sometimes you gotta throw on something to say, hey, just take this off our books real quick. So that's where we are right now. We're not going to get the biggest value out of the players we have because, like you said, we do not have any type of leverage. This is going to be how we going to people saying, do you want, instead of people coming to us like, would you give up? You know what I'm saying? So it's a big difference from where we were when we got rid of Chip. Because when we got rid of Chip, we didn't necessarily have to give up those players. We weren't in a terrible position. Like Howie did make some good calls as far as trades and getting rid of some people. You know what I'm saying? Those were good trades. We can't be upset about that. But like I said, it was different. Sam Bradford, we got a first out of him. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, why can we get a first out of Bradford and then you're saying it's impossible for Wentz?
He was on like a 1 year deal, I think.
I don't know, but he still stunk.
It's
good.
Minnesota was desperate. They felt they were. I would say they felt they had a playoff contending team, and all they needed was a quarterback. And with I forget who went down. Was it?
I think it was Bridgewater.
Bridgewater, yeah. I would say when he went down, I would say they felt that the guy behind him wasn't going to be a guy that could do the job, so they were desperate for a quarterback, which worked out in our favor.
Yeah, facts. That was beautiful. I mean, that was. If that happens again, man, I'll be happy. But I know Sam Bradford was not making no $30 million. I think he was like 16.
Sam Bradford was the ultimate NFL schemer. That dude made so much money for being hurt literally every year.
Or Chase Daniel. I think the total snaps in the NFL. He's made like $36 million in his career to be a backup.
Half of that was from us. Half of that was from us.
We gave him like 10 mil or something like that.
That was ridiculous. So let's ask I'm gonna ask you a couple more questions and then we'll get out of here. I want to ask for this game, offensively and defensively. Give me one player, Brandon. One player. Don't go like down your list.
It gets back to you.
No,
you're like, damn, I got nobody to talk about.
We have 3 players playing here, and then these 3 guys are like, bro,
chill, man.
Leave somebody for us.
My brain works.
So one player from the offense and defense that you're looking at, not necessarily the player of the game, but that you're looking at to have a big game for today.
Yeah, I mean, you said one player, and I'm gonna have to. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. On the offensive side of the ball, I think Zach Ertz. I think that'd be a good person that we can see maybe go off this game. I said that I think last time, a couple weeks ago, I said Zach Ertz, and nothing really transpired. But with Jalen Hurts, I feel like sometimes those short, medium throws when he gets out of pocket, that's like a Zach Ertz special. He knows where to stop. He knows where the soft spot in the zone is. And he's a big body. I think that's something that Hurts can try to take advantage of today, especially against the Cowboys linebackers. I don't even know if Van Der Esch is playing. So if we can try to take advantage of Smith and his kind of like lackluster abilities, then that's something I believe that can really show out this game, or at least have a good game, better than the last couple weeks he's had or all season. And then on defense, whoever the number 2 corner is, whoever is the opposite side of Slay, I want to see play well. I think that's what we got to see. If it's going to be, I don't know if Maddox is out for the season, is he not?
Yeah, I think he's
so if it's Jaquette, I hope that he's able to kind of play well. I want some of the young guys to really prove that they can be on this team and be starters and contribute. Because if this is their time to do it, this is their preseason games. This is their OTAs. This is the only way that they're going to get in during this COVID system. So I want to see Jaquette do well because I mean he's a big body corner. If he can do well, then that's only a plus for us.
I would say I'm going to take the easy way out on the old cliche. I hope I didn't take your dude, Joe, but offensively, you have to go with Miles Sanders. I would say.
You actually did.
You're going up.
I thought you were going to go Jalen Hurts.
That's what I thought too.
I'm going with Miles. I would say they're going up against the worst rushing defense in the league, a team that gives up over 160 yards on the ground, and we were flipping out the last time the Eagles played the Cowboys on why they didn't use Boston Scott and why they didn't use Miles Sanders more in that game and against this rushing defense. And I'll say, if you have a good run game, it takes a lot of pressure off your quarterback. It opens a lot of things up. It opens up the play action. It opens up the misdirection. It opens up the way that you can utilize Jalen Hurts to his strengths with his mobility and athleticism. And I'll say Miles Sanders has shown that he's a guy that can be a workhorse and take when he gets the ball, he can be a productive running back. He for a guy that the amount of carries he's got this season, and he's still averaging over 5 yards a carry. You know what he can do. And I would say last time they played the Cowboys, he had what was it? He had over 150 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown in their game last year against the Cowboys in December. And he's had 75 scrimmage yards in 5 of his last 6 road games. So he's a guy that can be productive. And I would say it's a perfect matchup for him going up against this defense, especially if they're hurt on the linebacking position, if Van Der Esch isn't playing or not. So I feel Doug needs to give him the ball, and it controls the tempo of the game. It controls the clock. And especially in that up-tempo offense, it wears down their defense. So I feel the Eagles are going to put up a lot of points, but I still feel Miles Sanders is a guy that's going to need a big game, and I expect a big game from him. On the defense side of the football, I would say it's not an ideal matchup or ideal player, I should say, but without Josh Sweat and without Derek Barnett for this game, where's the pass rush going to come in? Possibly, I would say Fletcher Cox is questionable too. They're going to need to get pressure on Andy Dalton. So where's that pass rush coming from? I would say I'm going to be eyeing Vinny Curry and Jannard Avery, whoever is going to be that second defensive end for them in that rotation.
Jannard Avery. Throwback Thursday. That I felt like that was like a TBT right there. Like, remember when we gave up a 4th round pick for Jannard Avery and he never plays? That will be interesting. I hope he does come out in balls, because I forgot we even had him, to be honest.
He's been hurt. He's been hurt like all year.
Yeah,
true. Yeah, I would love to see that. I didn't even think of that. That's a really good point. I mean, as far as offense goes, I wanted to go Miles, especially because I have him on my own fantasy team.
Same.
But in the sense of diversity, I guess I would probably let's go with what everybody's been talking about. Let's talk about Travis Fulgham. Let's see if Fulgham can get back on the map a little bit. I would love to see him get some touches. We need to figure out who's going to be the wide receivers next year. You know what I'm saying? Are we going to move forward with Jalen Reagor and Travis Fulgham? Are those going to be our 1-2? And then Greg Ward at 3? I would love to see Greg Ward go off too. But I want to see Travis Fulgham really show that he can be at the very least a number 2 wide receiver. Maybe like 6-7 catches today. Ball out. You balled out against 2 of the better defenses in the league and then just went totally MIA. So yeah. I would love to see him come back and, and like you said, off those, it's going to come off the running game. So if we can get our running game going, get him going on some, quick little play action plays, something like that. I want to see him come back to us, man. We got all excited about Travis Fulgham and he just left us at the prom. It's like, come on, man. We were so excited.
Doug did it.
It really is. But either way, and then defensively, man, I've been beating the drum for this guy, bro. I really like him. Alex Singleton, man. I really like what he's been bringing. I don't know if he's a starter next year, but I think he's very, very good. He can be very, very good depth. I think we still lack, a premium player at the position. I don't want anybody thinking I'm calling him the next coming of anything, but I like what he brings. I think he hits hard. Him and TJ Edwards, they hit hard. They make plays. Not perfect in pass coverage, but I want to see him continue to play and be around the ball. I think that'll be big for our defense. I think Zeke is going to be playing, so keep him looking bad. Zeke has not looked good this year. Don't let this be the game.
I can't see a hurdle.
It out.
I can't see another Zeke hurdle.
Oh my
Zeke,
God.
I feel like he hurdles us at least once a year, and it becomes a GIF, and it's used against us, and I just can't see another one of those. So hopefully Duke Riley plays another good game or a decent game, because otherwise he's been lackluster all season too. Do we know who's the starting quarterback for Washington today?
Haskins.
I think
Haskins
is?
Yeah.
So you're saying we have
a chance. We have a chance.
Saying we have a chance.
They're both going to come down to the wire. We're going to both be just like switching through both games like, oh my God, and just scared. It is what it is. They set us up for failure.
Honestly, it's kind of exciting. I mean, we don't get too much excitement, especially when your team's bad, but like with this kind of game, considering that if things fall the way they are, then next week's literally a playoff game for us, that'd be pretty dope.
Yeah, that I would say it'd probably be a Sunday night football game because NBC is still looking for that last game of the season. And I would say I don't think any other matchups next week, if depending on what happens this week, are must win, winner in type of games. So we could be playing under the lights Sunday night football in prime time next week.
Ooh, I would like that. That wouldn't be bad. And I think we've only lost one game in prime time this year, and we've had a couple. I think
Yeah.
we're like 3-1 or something like that, or 2-1, something like that. So, hey, maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need the bright lights, man.
We just
Maybe
need a little luck and
you know what I'm saying?
a good game
We need a
against.
little luck and a little hurts. That's all we need. A little hurts and a little Sanders, you know? So, last thing I want to ask, what are your guys'
Don't say it.
predictions for the game? We're doing it.
Score
We're
prediction.
going back. I'm going to give mine easily, easy and quick, man. I'm going to say the Eagles win 28-3. I think our defense goes crazy.
I don't
Crazy.
defense go that hot or that way. Especially, I'll say the Cowboys offense, even with Andy Dalton, has played well. He's thrown at least 2 touchdowns in 4 of his last 5 starts. He's hitting on cylinders with CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. Pollard, depending if he's starting or not with Zeke, I'll say he had a big game last week. So I'll say this ain't the Cowboys offense from the start of the season that we discussed. So I feel they're going to be able to put up some points, and just the amount of injuries our defense has on our side of the ball with losing 2 of their premier pass rushers, the uncertainty with Fletcher Cox, the uncertainty on who's going to be playing on the opposite, whoever's playing on the opposite side of Darius Slay. So I do see the Cowboys playing up some points, but I feel the Eagles offense is going to exploit this Cowboys defense, and they're going to Jalen Hurts. He's playing with a lot of confidence right now. It's just his poise in the pocket, the way he's playing, the confidence level he has, and just the swag that this offense has right now with Jalen Hurts under center. And I feel this is going to be the first game that the Eagles go over 30 points this season. Surprisingly, I looked at their numbers. They haven't gone over 30 points once this year. If there's one game they're going to, it's going to be this week. So I have them winning 31 to, I'll give the Cowboys 17.
Okay. This is tough. I'm going to go 24-17. I think that I want to win. I haven't seen it all season. I haven't seen us being nearly as good to blow any team out when we were at semi-full strength, let alone now that I didn't even realize Josh Sweat and Derek Barnett are out. And those are 2 guys, especially Josh Sweat. He's been getting after it, and it's unfortunate. Was it his hand that got hurt or something, wrist?
Like that.
The fact that he's out, that kind of stinks. But it depends on the secondary. I mean, we lost a lot of players in the secondary, and it's going to be, is Wallace going to step up by Epps or whoever gets to play and everything like that. And the Cowboys, as much as they do stink, they still have those same weapons that can be deadly that everyone was talking about at the beginning of the season. And then you sprinkle in some of like the unknown guys that Andy Dalton has trust in because he was throwing to them on the practice squad and stuff or on the scout team. So I'm hoping I think we're going to win this game, but I don't see it being a blowout.
No score? You ain't going to throw no score?
I said 24-17.
24-17. You did say that. My bad. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm still on my first coffee, y'all. Like, woke up a little late today. But all right. So we got 3 W's. I like it. That's the energy we gotta bring. Exactly. That's the energy we gotta bring. This is the game that you gotta get up for. So before we get out of here, I just want to say a couple of things. Shout out to everybody that stayed in the chat. Everybody's still in the chat. We're still around 15 people. I love y'all. Y'all the best. But if you are in here, make sure you go hit the description, the links in the description, hit that merch up, go say what up. You know what I'm saying? You can have us on your chest and everything. Who wouldn't want our face everywhere, all over you? Like, come on. That's the Christmas spirit you need. And if you are new, be sure to hit that subscribe, hit that like. Jeff, I appreciate you so much for coming on here, man, chopping it up with us, man. That was a lot of fun.
It was a great time. Appreciate you guys having me on. Hopefully we'll have an Eagles victory at the end of the day. And
yes, sir. If we win, you're our good luck charm. We're going to need you back.
Exactly.
I'm up for it.
Exactly. Yeah. And, everybody, I know I have that one guy that keeps on saying, is this a call-in show? I forget his name. Bro, we are going to be setting up a call-in show with Notion again. I think we're doing it Tuesday. We're going to have a special guest host. So, yeah, we'll finally have your call-in show. I promise. He comes in every single, live, and he's like, is this a call-in show? Is this a call-in show? Is it a call-in show yet?
So I would say, hey, that's good. He's here. He comes back. He's a loyal listener. So
yes, sir. I love it. But I feel bad because, we haven't done one in a while. So we are definitely bringing it back. But, yeah, man, like I said, appreciate you coming on here, Jeff. I appreciate everybody that was in the chat. Man, let's get this W. You know what I'm saying? Let's go get this W. But
yes, sir.
Other than that, man, You know what time it is. It's Fly Eagles Fly, and we are out, Chad. Peace.